Okay, so this is lecture number 6, Gauss-Jordan Method. So this is still in the system of linear equations topic. Then this is a direct method. So wala pa ta sa indirect or iterative method. So Gauss-Jordan method, this notation becomes or reduces to this notation. So the first notation or first formula, but A here is the coefficient matrix. X here is the set of unknowns that we are going to find or we're going to solve. So mo ni ang very important na unknown variables na dapat makuha na to ang values. Then B here is just the constant vector. So it reduces to this formula. So I na siya. I is the identity matrix. X is still the unknown variables or set of unknown variables. Then B apostrophe here is now the solution vector. Okay. So ang pag-solve na magamit ang augmented matrix. So from this formula, ito ang kuha ng A, B. Tapos ibutan natin sa augmented matrix. And say for example, we have these values para sa coefficient matrix. Coefficient matrix A. Sample lang Then, for example, natay value sa B. Kaya na. Ito ang buhaton. Ang kanina part, dira mahimo na lang na siya og identity matrix. So, diba, identity matrix sa 3x3 is, ang diagonal lang ang 1, and then the rest of the elements are 0. Then, of course, kani, ito lang i-set as 5 apostrophe. So, lagi, 5 apostrophe, meaning nag-change ang value sa B or sa constant. Then, next is 1 apostrophe, nag-change gapon ang constant sa second row. Then, 2 apostrophe, nag-change ang constant sa third row. So, inani ang ending sa pag-solve aning Gauss-Jordan method. So, since 1 naman ni diri then diri pod, kani 1 na po na dira. Pasabot aning sa last na row, 1 z lang na. So therefore z is just 2. Diba kung equate nimo siya, since 0 multiplied by x is 0, 0 multiplied by y is 0. So therefore 1 multiplied by z is just z. So z therefore is just 2 apostrophe. So dili siya exactly 2 pero nag-change siya. So kumbaga kung unsa ang value dira, equate lang nato. So z is equals to that value. Okay? Next, for the second row, we only have the variable y. Diba kay 0 man ang x and z. Or ma-cancel out kay 0, i-multiply siya sa 0. Then kung unsa ang nadra, mao pala tong ibutang dira. Then of course, x is just equal to 5 apostrophe. So therefore, nanatay answer sa to ang system of linear equations. So inana lang siya simple. Wala na tayo buhaton na substitutions pareha sa Gauss elimination method. Kani siya pag ma-solve na nato or pag ma-convert na nato siya into an identity matrix. Kung unsa ang nadiya, kung unsa ang nasa constants, equate na siya sa kung unsa ang naasa identity matrix. Okay? So, kumbaga, isa lang siya phase. Elimination phase na siya. So, ang elimination phase, ato lang i-convert ang original coefficient matrix into the identity matrix. Okay? And of course, once again, mag-change ni ang values diri or 5, 1, 2 dira mahimong naimosab na naim mga mausab sila or sa constant vector. Okay? So, Gauss-Jordan process. First is same with the Gauss elimination method. check if pivot is non-zero. If any of the pivots are zero or is zero, buhaton lang yung itong method na nasa Gauss elimination method, or buhaton lang itong pamaagi na pareha sa Gauss elimination method. So ato lang i-swap ang equations na para non-zero ang pivots. Okay? Next is divide the pivot by itself for it to become 1. So kani siya mura siya borrowed sa matrix inversion method. So, di ba sa matrix inversion method, bago ta mag-minus or mag-subtract, ato siyang i-divide ang pivots by itself para may mong 1. So, inana po dali. Oops. Next is eliminate the rest of the elements in the pivot column. Eliminate siya para ang pivots na lang mabilin. Di ba ang pivots nag-represent man siya sa katong mga ones sa identity matrix, di ba? So dapat kato lang na mabilin, and then the rest are 0 sa katong mga dili pivot mahimong 0, and then katong tanan pivot mahimong 1. Then next is so kanitanan is just for the first row, or sorry, dapat kanang duwa sa first row lang na siya. Next is go to the next row and then repeat all steps above until reaching the last row. So kung unsa ang na-address sa second and third na step, ato lang i-apply sa mga musunuray na rows hantod sa maabot na to sa last row. Okay, so diretso ta sa examples. First example is solve the following equations by Gauss-Jordan method. So this is a 3x3 equation because x, y, and z lang ang unknowns. So tulo ka unknowns. Okay. Okay, so muna ang example. So ang first, check na to kung non-zero ba ang pivots. So obviously ang pivots kay kaning 2, 3, then 3. So therefore non-zero ang gihatag na pivots, or wala na tay buhaton, wala na tay swap ng mga equations para mahimong non-zero ang pivots. Kay non-zero naman sila daan. Okay, so inana ang case, diretso na ta sa pag-solve. So para dili libog, so A is equal to, ato sang pangitaon ang coefficient matrix. A is equals to 2, negative 1, 4, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. Then our constant vector B is equals to 13, 17, 16. Check sana to. Okay. So next is gamit augmented matrix. So ito ang i-combine ang A and B. So 2, negative 1, 4, 1, 3, 2, 3. Then with B, 13, 17, 16. Okay, so dapat kanila lang mabilin, pero dapat kaning value 2, kaning 3 ug 3 dra mahimo na silang 1. Then the rest kana dapat may mong 0 para mahimo siya identity matrix. Okay? So first thing to do, since this is not 1, we're going to make it 1. So just simply divide r sub 1 with the value of the pivot, which is 2. This is now our new r sub 1. So 2 divided by 2 is just 1. Negative 1 divided by 2 is negative 1/2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 13 divided by 2 is just 13/2. So ayaw siya decimal, fraction lang para mabawasan ang errors. Then copy ang walang nausab. Okay. So next, dapat mahimo ng 0 dra. So always sa mag-start sa first column, command, second column, third column na po. So dapat mahimo ng 0 ang duha. So para mahimo ng 0, mahimo lang siyang kuan. R sub 2 minus kung unsa ang nadri a. So minus 1 multiplied by the pivot row, which is R sub 1 is equal to the new R sub 2. Okay. Copy ang di mo sub. Then mo na itong gamiton ng formula. R sub 2 minus R sub 1 is equal to our new R sub 2. So R sub 2, let's begin with this. 1 minus 1 is 0. 3 minus 1 half is, may mo na siyang 3 plus 1 half. This is just 7 over 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. Then 17 minus 13 over 2 is just 21 over 2. Then copy ang third column. Next is may mo ni 0 dapat. R sub 3 minus the multiplier, which is kung sa ang value da, which is 1, multiplied by the pivot row R sub 1 is equals to the new R sub 3. So this is now copy ang first two rows. Then kaniyang gamito na formula, R sub 3 minus R sub 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0. 2 minus negative 1 half is just 5 over 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. 16 minus 13 over 2 is 19 over 2. Okay. So since manata sa first row, let's proceed with the second row. And then remember that the pivot is in the middle. So since the pivot is not 1, so ato siya himuong 1. So divide by itself or multiply by the reciprocal of the pivot, which is 7 over 2. So ang reciprocal na R sub 2 divided by the or multiplied by the reciprocal is 2 over 7. Para may mo siyang 1 ang kani. Diba? Or pwede po R sub 2 divided by 7 over 2. So it's up to you. It's equals to the new R sub 2. Copy ang demo sub. This is just 0. 7 over 2 multiplied by 2 over 7 is 1. 0 multiplied by something is 0. 21 over 2 multiplied by 2 over 7 is just 3. Okay. Then copy ang third column. Okay, so since 1 naman next na buhaton, dapat may mo ng 0, may mo po ng 0. So let's start with the first row. R sub 1 minus kung unsa ang naadri minus 1 half multiplied by the minus negative 1 half multiplied by the pivot row. So kana ang pivot row diri kani because we are in the second column. R sub 2 is our new R sub 1. So this is just so ato asa nang i-simplify kana R sub 1 plus 1 half R sub 2 is equals to R sub 1. Okay, so using this formula, R sub 1 is 1 plus 1 half multiplied by 0 is just 1. Next is negative 1 half plus 1 half multiplied by 1, which is now 0. 2 plus 1 half multiplied by 0 is 2. Then 1/3 over 2 multiplied by 1 half plus 1 half multiplied by 3 is just 8. Then copy ang limosab. Next is dapat mahimo ni 0. So R sub 3 minus kung saan na dira 5 over 2 multiplied by the pivot row R sub 2 is equals to R sub 3. This is now copy ang limosab. Zero kani ano nga itong gamiton. So copy sa lang ito yung second row. So 0 minus 5 over 0 minus 5 over 2 multiplied by 0 is still 0. 5 halves minus 5 over 2 multiplied by 1 is 0. 1 minus 5 over 2 multiplied by 0 is 1. Then 19 over 2 minus 5 over 2 multiplied by 3 is 2. Okay. So last na itong buhaton, since 1 naman ni diri wala na tayo buhaton, wala na tayo divide sa pivot because 1 naman ang pivot. So kani since 0 naman kanila lang ang nabilin. So kana dapat may mong 0. So therefore we're going to make changes in the first row. So ang formula R sub 1 minus kung unsay nga diri which is 2 multiplied by the pivot the pivot row R sub 3 is equal to the new R sub 1. So using this formula in the first row, R sub 1 minus 2 minus 2 multiplied by 0 is 0. So copy na yung second row. Yan lang. So balik ko na. So kani ang formula nga gamiton. So first row ang mausab. So 1 minus 2 multiplied by 0 is 1. 0 minus 2 multiplied by 0 is 0. 2 minus 2 multiplied by 1 is 0. Then 8 minus 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. Then copy ang wala na usap. So 0, 1, 0, 3, 0, 0, 1, 2. Okay, so since this is now an identity matrix, so mo na ni atong solution vector. So we can say that the first row, sugod ta sa first row, or pwede po mo bisag asa magsugod na row kay masolve man nato dayon, di ba? So since 1 ang coefficient sa x, so x na siya. Then plus 0y plus 0z. So 0y plus 0z is just equal to 4. Or x is just 4. By the way, pwede na natin i-delay isulat kung mag-quiz mo or mag-quiz stat. Pwede na na-delay isulat. So, pwede na tayo mo diretso sa kani. X is equal to 4. Next is y is equals to 3. Then, last, z is equal to 2. So, this is now the answer. So, ang kalayaan sa Gauss-Jordan, ang Gauss-Jordan, paspas mo man ang elimination phase, pero, nanapog kay substitution phase. Kani siya diri medyo taas gamay ang procedure sa pagpahimo siya o mahimo siya ang identity matrix, pero wala na tayo buhaton na substitution phase because kung unsa ang nadiri murag mo na lang ang answer ato lang siyang himuong inani ang form. Okay, so muna ta sa example number 1. Okay, so for example number 2, we have this equation. Okay, so check sa na to ang pivots if non-zero ba. So, mo ni ang example number 2. So, ang first or ang pivot ani kay ba x man ang sa una. So, 1 non-zero. Second is y ang pivot. So, ang coefficient sa y kay 5. So, non-zero. Then, ang third na pivot is negative 3, which is also non-zero. So, pwede natin proceed sa process or method. So, kopyahan sa nato ang A. So, A is first. A is 1 minus 2. Then, Z is, coefficient sa Z is 0. Then, next, wala may X, so 0. 5, 1. Yang last kay 4. Walay Y, so 0, and then negative 3. Our constant vector is negative 4, negative 9, then negative 10. Okay? So, augmented matrix. Just 1, negative 2, 0. Okay, so nani ang augmented matrix. Okay, so mao ni ang pivots, di ba? So dapat kana tanan may mong 1 and then the rest kanina mga elements dapat may mong 0. So since 0, so start ta sa first column. Since 0 naman diri na ang atong imong 0. So, we're going to make changes in the third row. So, third row minus, kung unsa na diri mo na itong multiplier, multiplied by the pivot, the pivot row, is this one, r sub 1, is equals to our new r sub 3. So, copy ang di mo sub. So 4, using this formula, 4 minus 4 multiplied by 1 is just 0. 0 minus 4 multiplied by negative 2 is 8. Then negative 3 minus 4 multiplied by 0 is negative 3. Next is negative 10 minus 4 multiplied by negative 4 is just 6. Then, since 0 naman ito ng Andrea, next napunta na column. So in the second column, this is the pivot 5. So since 5 man siya, ato siyang imong 1 by dividing the pivot by itself. So r sub 2 divided by kung saan na dira, which is 5, is our new r sub 2. So this is 1, negative 2, 0, negative 4. So mo ni ang formula. R sub 2 divided by 5. So 0 divided by 5 is 0. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 divided by 5 is 1/5. Negative 9 divided by 5 is negative 9 over 5. Okay, so copy ang third row. Okay, next is, since 1 naman ni ang pivot, dapat may mo ng 0, may mo po ng 0. So let's start with the first row. R sub 1 minus, kung unsang nadriya, negative 2, multiplied by the pivot, the pivot row, which is r sub 2 is equal to our new r sub 1. So this is, simplify this formula. R sub 1 plus 2 r sub 2 is equals to r sub 1. Using this formula, 1 plus 2 multiplied by 0 is 1. Negative 2 plus 2 multiplied by 1 is 0. 0 plus 2 multiplied by 1/5 is 2/5. Then negative 4 plus 2 multiplied by negative 9/5 is negative 38/5. Okay, so copy ang di mausab. So next is kanina pa itong imong 0. R sub 3 minus kung saan na diri 8 multiplied by the pivot row r sub 2 is equals to the new r sub 3. Copy. So using this formula in the third row, r sub 3 minus 8 multiplied by r sub 2, which is 0, is 0. 8 minus 8 multiplied by 1 is 0. Negative 3 minus 8 multiplied by 1/5 is negative 23/5. Then last, 6 minus 8 multiplied by negative 9/5 is 102 divided by 5. Okay, so we are done with the first two columns. So ano na ang last. Then we need to change this value into 1. So we are going to change r sub 3. Then r sub 3 multiplied by the inverse of this, or the reciprocal of that number, which is negative 5/23, is equals to the new r sub 3. So kaniyang formula, r sub 3 is 0 multiplied by any value is 0. 0 multiplied by this number is still 0. Then negative 23/5 multiplied by negative 5/23 is 1. Then 102 divided by 5 multiplied by negative 5/23 is negative 102 divided by 23. Okay. So, dapat may mo na ng 0, may mo na ng 0. Kay 1 naman yung nadari. Start with the first row minus its unsay na ang value dra multiplied by the pivot row, which is r sub 3 equals to r sub 1. So 1 minus 2 over 5 multiplied by 0 is just 1. 0 minus 2 fifth multiplied by 0 is 0. 2 over 5 minus 2 over 5 multiplied by 1 is 0. Negative 38 over 5 minus 2 over 5 multiplied by negative 102 over 23 is negative 134 over 23. Okay, so next, copy. Kanina lang mo dapat may mong 0. So r sub 2 minus kung saan 1 over 5 multiplied by the pivot row, which is r sub 3 is equals to our new r sub 2. Okay, so di ba mag-change man ta sa r sub 2. So ganito ang gamiton na formula. 0 minus 1 over 5 multiplied by 0 is still 0. 1 minus 1 over 5 multiplied by 0 is 1. 1 over 5 minus 1 over 5 multiplied by the pivot row, which is 1, or the pivot, which is 1. This is just 0. Negative 9 over 5 minus 1 over 5 multiplied by negative 102 over 23 is negative 21 over 23. So copy ang last row. So we now have our identity matrix. So therefore, ang solution for x is just negative 134 over 23. Y is negative 21 over 23. And z is negative 102 over 23. So this is now the answer.